What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dap Day in the building. And got a very special topic on the Black Evolution. We're going to talk about black relationships from a male perspective. Speaking our truth from a male point of view. Hey, hey, let's get into it. Alright, so without further ado, I got a very special guest in the building. He is a relationship expert, a relationship guru at JCSU. Give it up for Mr. Benajah. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. It's actually Benajah Mars, but I'm doing well. And I would say I'm a relationship expert, but throughout the years at being at JCSU, I kind of, gained some knowledge. Being older makes me more wiser.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'd say that was the introduction. Now you're not a relationship guru or expert, but it's just like you have some experiences and everything
I have some experiences
regarding relationships and whatever. So, what can you tell me about male relationships and how things are going on with the whole communications and everything with the female, and like just tell the viewer what's going on with this whole relationships, man.
Okay, well, first thing I want to say is that in relationship communication, it is a big, big issue. Well, I'm not even saying issue. It's very important. Okay, if you don't have communication, your relationship is gone. Like prime example, I would say about my freshman year at Smith. All right, this was actually my first and only girlfriend I had at Smith. But we was talking, everything was going well, and I'm pretty sure Davin Daniel, you seen me and this girl around.
Mm-hmm.
But communication plays a big role, a huge role, because if you're not able to communicate and you guys argue, and it's just the downfall of the relationship. So long story short, I was dealing with this chick, and it was going good. The relationship, it wasn't really that long. It didn't last that long. It only lasted for 3 weeks. But what I will say, what I gained out of a relationship is that communication is the biggest important thing in a relationship. My ex at the time, she went to my high school, and she kept texting me, and it's more of like, I'm telling this girl that she's texting me, but she's kind of telling me to block her. And that's one thing I didn't listen to at the time. I didn't block the chick. So doing stuff like that, it kind of ruins relationships. So you have to be on cue when listening to a female's perspective, because if you don't listen, they'll get tired of you, they'll get bored of you, and they'll just move on like that. And what ended up happening after that was that, like, we got into this huge argument. We argue, and then we went our separate ways. And then I tried to patch things up. It didn't work out. She called it quits. And that's why I just say communication plays a big role in today's relationships, because girls will get tired of you if you do not play your role. That's all I got to say about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because I've been in situations where you gotta communicate with the girl and everything else. Everything seems to be going cool, but then stuff happened because of lack of communication and stuff. And I'm just like, all right, it's all right.
Exactly, man. And I remember you there, David. Daniel, remember this one girl you was talking to, and you was trying to feel her out. And y'all was talking, just getting to know each other, and I felt like she was moving fast. And I remember you telling me, David Daniel, you did not want anything. It's not like you didn't want anything to do with this chick. It's like she wasn't for you. So you couldn't find the best way to tell this girl. So you didn't tell her, and then things ended up crashing and burning.
Yeah, she's like going over nuts and stuff. I'm like, yo, like relax and stuff.
I remember she had a whole, I don't remember, she was throwing a temper tantrum outside. She was.
Yeah, it's like, yo, like, come on, man.
This girl is like, she's fucking right now,
Yeah. Trying to get off physical, and I'm like, but we ain't gonna go into that details. It's like, nah, we ain't going into that details. But I'm just saying, like, I know for experience, like, hey, you gotta communicate with people and everything. And
you want me to tell you something about today's dating game, man? Dating game. If you're really trying to cuff a girl, if you're really trying to get to know her, just do that. Don't try to rush into things and do things, because what females do today, females expect you, if you, like, say, if you, it's the difference between trying to cuff and just fuck. If you're just trying to cuff, then cuffing a chick, you got to make sure it's known. That's where communication plays a big role. You got to make sure it's known that you're just trying to talk, get well established with each other, and it's different. If you guys are trying to mess around and stuff like that, you just have to make that known, because different girls tend to think differently. Like, girls nowadays, and 99.9% of these chicks that I encountered or I've seen people deal with, they think, oh, we do this, we do that, we mess around with each other, we're in a relationship. Nah, you gotta make that known, and that's where communication plays a huge role, and that's another thing that people forget to really think about. They just think with their body parts instead of just thinking with their heads. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Yeah. So what can you tell me about the whole situation with the how things are going on with the Me Too movement and stuff? How that ties into relationships as well, and dealing with interactions with people.
I would say, Devin, Daniel, I don't really have any knowledge of that movement, but could you kind of explain what's going on with that movement, and I'll give you my input on that.
Okay, so let me tell you what the background, what's going on. So basically, right now, the whole Me Too movement is just they have recently a situation with Chris Cuomo. Excuse me, not Chris. I think either it's Chris Cuomo or Andrew Cuomo. Chris Cuomo is either the brother of the governor, or Andrew Cuomo is actually the governor of New York. But anyways, probably Andrew Cuomo. He basically was caught in allegations of sexual harassment and everything, and basically he had to resign from his position as governor because of sexual harassment. Now the thing is, with the Me Too movement, I agree that, hey, men need to be held accountable for actions that are despicable and disgusting. But at the end of the day, your evidence that you bring to the table has to be solid evidence. It cannot be just nothing but hearsay, because when it's nothing but hearsay, things get out of control. And so I've seen most of these cases with the Me Too movement. What happens is hearsay, and they get a whole bunch of women with hearsay. I'm just like, hey, where's the DNA evidence? Where's the if he did violate you or whatever, there needs to be some type of DNA or physical thing that happened and everything, or evidence, instead of just hearsay.
So now that I actually know what we're talking about here, I can give you my thoughts on that. So with that movement, with a guy getting accused of something, it's one thing that the girl who's accusing him, or girls or females, because I really don't know about this topic, but I will say that if the girl has enough evidence, that's why we need to have text messages or recorded phone calls. All of those play in a role, because if you don't have those things, there's no way you can find somebody guilty of sexual harassment. Now, if you have text, or if you have these knowledge, then you can actually convict the man. But I just hate how sometimes women just say, well, I'm not even gonna say this. Girls, things with females, I feel like if something actually happens at that moment, that's when you go report it, or you go to the authorities with that. You don't wait until some time passed by and then try to convict somebody. I'm not saying, I don't even know the situation, but I feel like if somebody is convicting you of something, you do it right away. And if so, you have to have the evidence for it. If somebody's sexually harassing you, a female is not even gonna really, she's gonna feel weird about it. So what a female should do is go to the proper authorities and report it, get a restraining order, or take it to the higher authorities. But what female like to tend to do now is they like to wait, and then once they wait, they wrongfully convict somebody. They don't even have the proper evidence to even convict the guy. So that's one thing I do not like. And I thank you for reading that whole thing, because I didn't even know about the whole situation. But things like that just makes me well aware. You have to think, because women are always 10 toes ahead of you. As a man, you got to be 10 steps ahead of the female. Mm-hmm. So that way, the female, situations like that with a female, it won't happen that way. You know what I'm saying, Daniel?
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying and everything. And when it comes to like relationship with communication and stuff, and the whole Me Too movement, I feel like the Me Too movement started out pure, but what once happened was it became nothing but hearsay, or they waited till a whole a large period of time passed and everything, and now you're gonna speak out. And I'm just like, wait a second, where's all this stuff coming beforehand? So
Exactly, bro.
yeah, why didn't you say anything beforehand? That's all I'm saying. Like, it's not I'm saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying, why'd you wait all this time? And that's my
Right.
stance on that. And then, so what are your thoughts on the whole mentality of these recent female rappers, of the City Girls and Cardi B, telling women that they strong and independent, they don't need no man for nothing, and that rich nigga is my type, and all this other stuff, and getting females hyped up with 6-figure dudes
Oh,
or whatever. So, what's your thoughts on that?
okay. Well, one thing I will say is that I respect that because women, some women expect the men to do everything, and that's fine. That's what a man is supposed to do. You're supposed to do everything. You're supposed to be the caregiver. You're supposed to make sure your girl or your woman is okay. That's how I've always been taught in my family household. That's why I'm so nice to females. But one thing I don't like with that is like it's not all about the money, man. Because let me tell you something. I know. Let me be real with you. These women are on a different plateau than us average people. Okay, so if the women nowadays they want a man that's going to take care of them, it depends because women who have money think differently, but a woman who doesn't have as much money, who's financially okay and doing well, she would want a man just to be there. But I don't like about that. What I do not like about that is how they brainwashing these females to just, oh, you gotta buy me all these Louis bags and all this and that, and like you gotta buy me clothes and this and that to keep me happy. No, what should keep you happy is me making you laugh, or me being there for you, or just me just being me, bro. Like a woman should not have to. A woman should not have to have money just to be happy, bro. Like money is money. You gonna take the money when you die, bro. Like you gonna have that money when you go to heaven, bro. Like no, you're not. You still finna be the same person you was. So no, I don't agree with that. But I agree how women are independent because women they're just basically saying that we don't need y'all. We don't need y'all. All y'all good for is one thing. But then again, they have somebody telling you to, oh, I want you to buy me Louis bags and all this and that, and that's what is brainwashing women today. If you broke, or if you don't got this or that, bro, women don't appreciate that no more. They just want. I just feel like they just appreciate the finer things like. But I'm not talking about all women because keep in mind, there's billions of women in the world. But what I will say is that there are good women out there that don't think that way, that just care from the heart. And that's what I agree with. But I don't agree with these rappers, these chicks just saying all that non-stuff about that, bro. I don't like that. That's not cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to the whole women being independent and everything else, if you're independent, great, cool, but you don't need to say it every 5 seconds. If you have to say it every 5 seconds, that means you're not. Because I've learned about people is if you have to say it 2 or 3 times, something that you are, then you're really not that. For example, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm a pimp," or I'm this or I'm that, and they constantly brag about how great they are, and it turns out that they're not. And just like, hey, come on, you can't be saying that multiple times and not living it. So if you're independent, just live that lifestyle and everything else. But if you want a man and everything else, and the man to take care of you and stuff like that, you're gonna have to, and let the man lead and everything else. I feel like a lot of times with some of these chicks, they be like, "Oh, I'm strong and independent. I don't need a man for nothing. I can do a bad all by myself." You're so independent that you won't allow yourself to feel. You won't allow yourself to be vulnerable with these men because you're.
Oh yeah.
I feel like in this case they're acting more masculine and less feminine when they.
In this world, sometimes these females have to be masculine because we got guys out here that just sit on they sit on their butt, just sitting around the house, not do nothing, not work nothing, not working, not doing anything with their lives. So these females, these women have to do that. They have to be independent because they ain't gonna rely on no man. But what I will agree with you, Daniel, is that females nowadays, they don't need to brag about being independent. Any independent man, you would know if a person's truly independent if they busy, they on their grind, they doing things that's making themselves better. You see them, they working they tail off and they got all these new clothes and all this everything, bro. Like, you're gonna see it, bro. I agree with you. Women don't need to showcase that, bro. Like, you see a man on his grind, bro. A man gonna go about his business. But females, they're different. They tend to, they want to showboat it. They want to make it known. So I agree. Women should not do that. That's not good.
Yeah, and that's just like overall my thoughts on that is just like, hey, listen, if you're independent, just live that lifestyle and everything. You don't need to brag. And it's like, hey, sometimes when it comes to women being independent, I would kind of disagree with you on the whole. Yeah, there's some dudes who are sitting there just bums and not doing nothing. But those dudes, them the ones that they should be the ones who getting up and do something with your lives. You don't expect a good woman to come to you and everything else. It don't work like that. You gotta constantly get up and constantly move and constantly do things that you need to do and stuff.
Right, gotcha. Totally agree.
Yeah. So closing thoughts on this discussion about relationships from a male perspective. What's your closing thoughts on the whole situation with females and everything else, and the communication or lack of communication or lack of connection that comes with?
Well, first and foremost, I suggest anybody who's listening to this, I suggest if you're trying to build a connection with somebody, you be their friend first. You don't jump into a relationship because 9 times out of 10, that doesn't work. Jumping into a relationship, that just creates so much tension, so much drama. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because 9 times out of 10, you don't get to know the person. You're not going to get to know their characteristics, what they do on a daily basis, how they act. So say if you're somebody's friend, 9 times out of 10, you'll know whether that's the right call to make as far as being in a relationship with them. 9 times out of 10, you're when you're in the talking stage, you're just getting to see if you're really going to mess around with this chick. But if you just jump into a relationship, it's not going to work. And the whole thing about communication is that women like to be right. Women always like to be right. Their ego is always going to try to always be bigger than a male's ego. But what I will say is that being a man, sometimes you always have to be the bigger person and say, you know what, I'm wrong. It's not even when you're not, because when you do, that's just going to create more tension. Being a man, that's what a man does. A man just takes accountability for what he does and his wrongs and his rights. So as I would just say, just make sure you and the female have a good understanding. Y'all don't argue too much. Y'all are able to communicate make sure that the relationship is not as toxic, because when it's toxic, it's not going to last very long. You're going to get tired of each other. You're going to get bored. And either that either leads to cheating and, other stuff like that. And that's not what a person wants. A black man wants to be happy, and a black female wants to be happy. It's all about finding the right person for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. And my closing thoughts in this situation is communication is key and communication is important. It's also important with the female to uplift the black man, because I've seen a lot of times, especially sometimes at our school at HBCUs, that some of these women have this characteristic of it when they say, men ain't nothing, they ain't gonna be nothing, men ain't nothing, ain't gonna be nothing, men ain't nothing, ain't gonna be nothing. When you say that rhetoric to a man and stuff like that, you're making him feel like he's completely weak and worthless and stuff. It's hard enough as it is when dealing with racism and all these other issues and holding it down for the female and taking care of the female. When you tell the man that he ain't doing nothing, he's not going to be nothing and everything else, that's a problem. Because it's like the rhetoric. You have to inspire the man, uplift the man. And when you say you're independent and everything else, you are, you got to carry yourself in a certain way. If you're going to call yourselves queens, then you got to act like it and have queen behavior, and not just be like, oh, well, just say, I'm a queen. Just because you say something 2 or 3 times doesn't mean doesn't make it right.
One thing I will say is that I will disagree with you on that, because honestly, women, it's not just women's fault, because women, you have these nice, good-looking females out here that just get played, and it's not their fault that they think that way. They went through traumatic things which caused them to think the way they think, and it just kind of brainwashes them. But
yeah, but you shouldn't take one traumatic experience and apply that to all men. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. That's true. Women should not apply it to all men, because you got good men like yourself, myself, who just been done wrong, and females just tend to not give you a chance because of certain situations. But what I will say is that to close out, I will say that it's not just women, it's men too, because men be on their stuff too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Men aren't doing things that they need to be doing. They be cheating. They be going around. And, men are going to be, as we're young, I would just say, we're young. We're 20-some years old. Just go out and just take your time. Don't rush into anything, because if you rush into stuff, man, you'll probably be with the girl you don't even want to be with for the rest of your life. And then now you done messed up because you're 50 and you and her been married 25 years, and now got kids, and you got to deal with that for the rest of your life. So I'll just say, while you're young, just live young and just do what you do. Just keep grinding, and just, a relationship's going to come to you. That's another thing I would want to say. You rush in relationships, you desperately looking for female, this and that, I'm going to go talk to her, this and that, bro. Just you and the girl have a decent conversation, and then let it build from there. Don't just start doing this and that, blah, 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 and then expect, just to jump into a relationship. That's not gonna work. It's gonna crash, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna crash and burn. Don't do that. Just take your time, get to communicate with the chick and everything, or the woman, and just see where it goes from there. That's why at this point I'm not really looking for no relationships at this point, from my perspective, because I'm so busy on my grind and stuff like that. I ain't got the time.
Keep working, keep making this money, keep elevating yourself. It's all about elevation.
Yeah.
You elevate yourself. 2 years ago, down there, you didn't see me with these braids. You didn't see me going to the gym. I wasn't elevating myself, but now I'm drinking water. I'm working out every day. I'm trying to get a job. I got a car now. I got all these things, and I got a girlfriend. And, she likes me for the way I am, bro. Like, I'm sitting over here. I'm not settling for nothing, bro. I'm elevating myself. As a black man, you got to elevate yourself.
Exactly.
Always try to kick you down, bro. You got to elevate yourself. Make this money. Get richer, bro. Think of ideas. Think of schemes. Think of things you want to do on the side, bro. Like, I even want to start up my own YouTube channel. Maybe one day I'll get that to you, when I start it up. But think of ways to elevate yourself, man. Just don't sit there around and expect to be the same old person, expect to get better, It's not going to work, man. Trust me, I've been there.
Yeah, I understand most definitely. So yeah, this is to close it out. Hey, this is our relationship perspective from one of the relationship, quote unquote advisors. He's not an expert, but he's an advisor at JZSU. So give it up for Mr. Benajah. We closing it out. It's Dab Days, the Black Evolution, and listen to his outro music. Hey, 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 hey.